For another episode of Health Talks with Dr. Trinh, the one show, maybe the only show, that tries to take the complex issues of health today and turn them into bite-sized nuggets that we can all easily digest as we discuss, debate, and talk about all the issues that are confusing and confounding us here today with the man who's never confused, Dr. Trinh. You always seem to be so confident and clear here.
I'm confused. I'm always confused. Ask my wife. I'm always confused. Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning, gang. Thanks for coming back in. Hey, today we've got a good one. I want to talk about, this is actually Dr. Trin's idea, and I'm going to let him kick it off here. Let's start by talking about, we're going to talk about tests, vaccines, all that kind of stuff today here. And we'll get into some of the latest and greatest news about Alzheimer's, some of the latest ideas and hopes about COVID, and then our fears and fantasies about all these things. Are we afraid of them? Are we ready for them? Are we going to take them? How are we going to get them? How are we going to distribute all this stuff? Welcome everybody this morning, and type in your questions as we're talking here if you have any questions about vaccinations and tests. Let's start with the blood test for Alzheimer's. It's been all over the news. We talked a little bit about it last week.
All over the news. So I don't know if you guys saw, but there is the most recent Alzheimer's Association, the international conference that they normally do every year. Of course, this year it's online, and very cool stuff is coming out. There has been several published papers on a blood test to detect Alzheimer's. And what this blood test is looking for is that it's looking for a protein called phosphorylated tau, T-A-U.
Called
a little bit longer than that.
What? Phosphorylated who? What?
Tau. Have you ever heard of the words, when it comes to Alzheimer's, we use the words plaques and tangles that build up in the brain.
You've talked a little bit about this idea that there's something stuck between the little brain receptors, and it blocks it, and it becomes entangled in all this plaque.
Yes, plaques and tangles. And the plaque, when we talk about the plaque, we're talking about amyloid, beta amyloid plaque that builds up in the brains of patients with Alzheimer's. And what the plaque does is that it interferes with the brain cells being able to communicate and talk. So your brain cells can't talk to one another. They can't communicate with one another. And the plaque is contributing to that. So it interferes with that. Now, the plaque, the amyloid plaque, grows between cells. So it's not inside the cell, it's between your cells.
Right.
It's in that extracellular space is what we call it, right? So the plaque is building up in that extracellular space.
And what's the plaque made of? Is it just little goop? Is it just
a protein?
Protein.
It's a protein called amyloid beta amyloid. And here's the neat thing. The amyloid itself, or proamyloid itself, is actually part of your cellular membrane. So here's the cell, the membrane, the cell wall has amyloid in it. But what happens is our lifestyle breaks apart this proamyloid into several different pieces.
Okay.
It can break into a piece that's normal, or it can break into a piece that's not normal. The piece that's not normal,
kind of like our society today, can break into a piece that's normal and a piece that's not normal. Yeah.
Right, exactly, right. And the piece that's not normal is beta amyloid, and that piece is the piece that's causing memory issues with that, because you can have what's called alpha, the alpha piece of the amyloid, and that piece is normal, but the beta piece is not normal, and so our lifestyle that creates inflammation, creates any infection, damage, any type of the stuff we do in life allows the wrong pieces to be made. And so the beta aspect, the beta amyloid is a bad piece, right? That causes essentially uh, that causes a blockage of the cells, the brain cells being able to communicate
And
with
once
that.
this plaque builds up, we don't know if there's any way to get rid of it. It's not like plaque on my teeth. I can just scrub it away here because I can't put a
Not
brush
like
in
you
my
can
brain.
scrub the Alzheimer's plaque off. That's right. There, in clinical trials, which is what we do, right, with where I'm sitting here in Irvine,
Hmm.
in clinical trials,
Irvine
we,
Clinical Research, let's give it a
Irvine
plug here.
Clinical,
Okay.
right, we are we have medications specifically designed to remove plaque, which is kind of cool. Now, so that's the plaque aspect of when you hear about plaques and tangles.
Now, I got to stop you there. You just threw that little thing out there. You do have some sort of medicine that can dissolve the plaque or remove it. Is this a trial? Is this something I can go to the store and buy? Is it my doctor can prescribe it
Yes,
here?
yes, it's part of clinical trials. Clinical trials is when we take the best medications with
Hmm.
the best hope for some type of improvement in Alzheimer's patients. We put that medication through a pipeline, through this FDA pipeline, where we're testing this medication out. We're collecting information, we're collecting data, and if successful, that medication goes through phase one, phase two, phase three of clinical trials, and it gets approved by the FDA if successful. We don't have any medication currently that successfully does anything for the amyloid plaque, for the Alzheimer's plaque. With that, hey, good morning, Christine. Christine's on. Good morning, Mayor Steve is on. The mayor of Garden Grove is on.
Hey, Mayor Steve. He was in our show once a long time ago. Shout out to Mayor Steve. Cool guy.
Steve, you got to come on with me
Yeah, come
and have a
on.
chat. I want to hear what's going on in Garden Grove.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring him on soon, I'm sure. So
So
anyway,
I'm sorry we're going a little bit down a rabbit hole. We're here talking about the breakthrough blood test that has been announced for that might give you some heads up that you have Alzheimer's. Up to this point, no test, observational. As we talked about, you got to rule out everything else. Make sure you don't have a urinary tract infection or all sorts
right,
of other
right,
crazy things that could be causing your brain
right.
impairment here. So, but I just want to stay in this for a moment. So you at Irvine Clinical Research are doing a test right now, and at what phase, one, two, or three, about something that'll help flush out this amyloid plaque, or did I
Oh, we
misunderstand you?
yeah we have clinical studies in phase two, phase three. We have a good number of studies. We are launching a few new studies. Some of these studies we are launching are really exciting. Some of it has to do with gut health. I've
Mm,
talked a bit about gut health and about the value of how improving your gut can improve your brain.
hmm.
We're bringing a study to improve gut health, which is really cool. So all these different things are coming. But
But any just and I'm
yes,
not I know you're not making any claims yet, but anything promising, anything potential to help clean because this plaque is what's causing Alzheimer's. It's this amyloid plaque that's preventing the brain from communicating here, that's short circuiting the system. Anything promising on the horizon?
there's a lot of promising on the horizon. We don't know for sure until it passes phase three successfully, and it gets reviewed by the FDA. But
So
there,
this blood test that you guys aren't involved in, but that it was involved, it was announced at the Alzheimer's conference. Is this what phase is this in? Is this an early study phase? Is this just in the research lab phase? Has it been tested on anybody? Where is this at?
so so this so what the blood test looks for is a protein called tau, and so I mentioned that we use the terms plaques and tangles, right, to identify what's going on in the brain of patients with our Alzheimer's. And the amyloid plaque is the plaque component,
Right. That's in between the cells.
right? Now, let's talk about the tangles, the other
Is
component.
this like the dance that they always want? My wife wants to do
That's
the
right, the
tango. Right.
tangles, right?
Right.
The tangles is like tangly things.
Right.
The tangles is what we call tau protein.
This is TAU, not
Yeah, you
TAO, the
right.
Chinese
Not the Chinese tau. This is a
out
different
of
tau.
well-being and right, yeah.
That's right. So tau is a protein that that is created abnormally. It gets misfolded. When proteins get made, they're folded in a certain way, and they're shaped. So a phosphorylated tau gets misfolded, and tau grows up inside the cell, the brain
Mm,
cell itself,
mm.
right? So it's located inside the brain cell, and it destroys the brain cell from the inside.
So you got two problems. You got one that's in two healthy brain cells and something blocking them from little signals going through
Yes,
there. And that's why you can't remember or say things or whatever. And then within the cell, it can actually be deteriorating by this
tau,
tau.
tau tangle, right? It
Wow.
it gets
It's
misfolded
twisted.
into a
Yeah.
big tangle, and so so when we talk about Alzheimer's, it's both plaque and tangles. Amyloid
We're
plaque,
destroying brain cells or we're blocking them from communicating.
yes, we're blocking them from communicating from the outside, and we're destroying the brain cell from the inside from the tau protein.
Insidious thing here. Okay.
Yes. So what is this blood test all about that they're talking about all over the news?
Yeah.
This blood test has the ability to detect in the blood the level of tau tangles.
How much stuff in your cells is misfolded and maybe eating away at your brain cells here?
Right. So what's happening is that these tau tangles that is associated with Alzheimer's, when a lot of it builds up,
I got to have a drink here.
oh,
You're
have a drink.
overwhelming.
Yeah, I am overwhelming. Have a drink. Have a drink. Have your second cocktail at 8 in the morning, and that's fine. Good morning, Stacy. And so this tau tangle,
I should do that. I should put a cocktail in here instead of water. Okay.
that,
I'd have another
that is
problem.
legal, right? I'm assuming it's legal if you're drinking from home. If you're drinking from home on your own, I assume that's
Not
legal.
legal to drink on the radio. Totally illegal here. No, I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah. Yeah, we should ask Steve about that. The mayor would know.
Yeah, he would.
But but anyway, so the tau tangle, when it destroys brain cells, the brain cells gets destroyed, and some of these tau proteins gets released outside
Oh,
of
it's
the
even
cell.
worse. It doesn't stay within it. It starts spreading.
Right. Well, if you destroy the brain cells itself, right? Some of these
Right.
tau proteins get released, and it breaks through the blood-brain barrier,
Oh,
and it seeps into your bloodstream,
okay.
which is why we can now, right, through research, detect the level of tau protein.
And what does that tell you? I got a lot of tau. I got a little bit of tau. What does that tell me?
The studies that has been published so far shows an association up to around a 90% association between the level of tau that you have in your blood on a blood test with a correlation of what your brain scan will look like as far as an Alzheimer's brain scan. So it can correlate. So we can get a blood test, we look at the phosphorylated tau levels, and there's a correlation with the PET scan findings of an Alzheimer's patient. There's about a 90% correlation in some of these studies.
But that's a PET scan. That's not a cheap test that most insurance companies want to pay for to test how much tau you might have in your brain here.
Yeah, and testing tau isn't even isn't even something that's covered by insurance.
Right.
With that, it's done through clinical research, which is what we do. In some of our studies, we look at and we test.
So that was one of the incentives. If somebody joined one of your research, they get a free PET scan, maybe, depending on what you're testing, and that would be covered. Whereas that's not something most in the public can just call up the doctor and say, "I want a PET scan done to see if I got a lot of tau, if I'm turning into Alzheimer's or just forgetting."
Yes, that's accurate. If they are a candidate and are eligible for research, some of our research offers a PET scan to look
But now the drum roll. I don't even have a. Let me get a drum roll up here. The drum roll is that. See if I can find a drum roll quickly. The drum roll is that maybe, just maybe, we can now. Everybody can take a simple blood test, and this will tell you how much tau has leaked into your blood, and that'll give us some indication as well as to, you're headed into Alzheimer's territory.
Yes, we need to. So this is not commercially ready or approved by the FDA. This blood test.
It's just an early indication that there might be a way to test this, right?
Yes, but there are early indications, so we're still studying, and we're still doing larger clinical trials to validate this blood test. But man, if it gets validated and FDA approved, we now have a blood test that can tell you way in advance, even before your diagnosis, just kind of like the PET scan.
They said it's up to the New York Times said up to 20 years. Hey, buddy, you're headed towards Alzheimer's territory. You better eat better, diet more, exercise more, all this stuff. Otherwise, your tau's gonna build up here, and you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, some people are going to be really scared of that blood test, but others will be excited to get it.
I'm the I don't want to know, and if I don't know, then nothing can be wrong.
That's right. Good morning, Al.
So we're going to get to Vivian's question here. She has a different question about COVID this morning, so I don't want to discount that. But we're talking about testing today here in general, and we wanted to start off with some good news and reinforce, because we talked about it last week, and some people said they were still confused. Up to now, there has been no reliable test to tell whether you have Alzheimer's. Like Parkinson's, it's an observational thing. You rule out all these other possible causes for your memory loss, your brain impairment, whatever. And then I guess you got Alzheimer's. There has been an expensive test, a PET scan test, that you give to some candidates if they're in a clinical trial, but most of us can't access it because it's too expensive and companies don't want to pay for it. That shows some correlation. If we see some of this, then we think you got Alzheimer's. This would be more conclusive and give you a lot. It'd be cheap, it'd be fast, it'd be easy, everybody could do it, and it would give you years. It wouldn't just say, oh, sorry, you got it. Well, thanks, it's too late. You're getting it. You're getting it. Pay attention, buddy. You're
at risk for it.
You got a risk for it.
You're at risk for it.
So this is huge. This is huge. But this is what, a couple years away still in testing?
A number of years away. Yeah. It again, there's no guarantee that it'll ever be commercialized and things of that sort. But we need we're doing clinical trials to validate that.
So that leads into a perfect discussion of today's bigger topic, which is testing. I'm going to make a big assumption here, and everybody can fight back if you think I'm going too far on Facebook here. But it seems like we've almost thrown in the towel on COVID. The government's saying it's just here. The president said the other day, people are dying. That's just the way it is. We're trying to do the best we can, but Dr. Burke says it's spread everywhere now. There's no stopping this thing. And we can contain it a little bit. We're still trying to slow it down through wearing face masks. That's why I have my neck goiter on here today. That's why it's like the ascot. I thought we'd make a new fashion statement here. You can just whip it up whenever you need to here.
Wow, is that kind of like a face mask, but from the bottom up?
Yeah, it goes all the way around your neck. It's like a tube, and then you just pull it up whenever.
Really?
And I thought, what a cool thing! You just pull it up whenever you need, and you just rather than trying to strap it on and do all this. No, I don't think it's as.
Looks like a little turtleneck thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of fashionable. A little turtleneck, a little ascot. I feel like I'm kind of.
Right.
But anyway, we seem to have thrown in the towel for the most part. I know this is an overstatement. We're still trying to get people to wear masks. We're still trying to slow it down. But we don't seem to think we can stop it anymore. It's everywhere. It's spreading. All we can do is slow it down and kind of keep it at a sustainable level until the magic pill arrives and we can kill it. That seems to be everybody's assumption, hope. I don't know. Does everybody think the same thing out there? Right in there. If you think, are you waiting for the blue pill, the magic pill that's just going to that's going to make us all immune to these things? And then so the question becomes, in the meantime, two parts. One, How quickly, realistically, could we be looking at something like, some people are saying October? This is a big October surprise. It's going to change the whole presidential race. Ta-da! We got it. We put it on the fast track, this president's warp speed, and I did it. And everybody said it took 2 years. It took 2 months. And others are saying, no, I'm not taking it. If you come up with something that fast, I'm not taking it. And Dr. Fauci the other day said, well, even if it's only 50% effective, let's take it. Let's try it. We're racing to come up with something because we can't seem to stop it or slow it down any other way. We're a country of individual choice. Nobody can tell me what to do. We delayed, we deferred, we denied, and now it's everywhere. We got the biggest case anywhere in the globe and more deaths and more problems. And so we've thrown in the towel and we're waiting for the pill to come. How quick can the pill come? Will people take the pill? And in the meantime, as Vivian says, she said, I met with a group of nurses who usually run flu clinics every year. And one worry is that we are exposing ourselves, most of us, particularly since we're retired nurses, just volunteering to do this or whatever. And I say, we are no more at risk than those who do the testing as long as we follow the rules. Are we... I don't know. So many issues in there. Let's start with the first one. Is a COVID vaccine likely to come this year, in your opinion?
The COVID vaccine will most likely be available early next year. Just simply because, and Gianni's asking this question: how effective will a vaccine be? Right.
Particularly if we've rushed it.
Well,
we've skipped some of the normal clinical trials. For example, I guess one of it is once it's gone through some trials and some outside advisors do this, and they're saying we may skip that stage.
We fast-tracked it,
yeah.
Right? And so, Gianni, how effective will this vaccine be? We are going to find out very soon because
that's a terrible answer. We'll find out. Take it.
Because we're starting phase 3.
Oh, okay. Yes, right.
We're starting phase 3 clinical trials, Gianni. One of our pharma have reached phase 3. We're launching it, I think, this month.
And explain real quickly again. I'm sorry, we got to keep stopping you here, but walk me through. You've been involved in clinical research for years. Walk me through the phases and stages.
Different phases. All right, different phases. Okay, here's the stage. Here's a quick lecture on clinical trials.
Right.
The first thing you should know is that normally, under normal circumstances, from the time a medicine is thought up in somebody's brain,
right,
in a scientist's brain, to the time it gets approved by the FDA, is usually 10 to 12 years.
10 to 12 years? Oh my goodness, we can't wait that long.
That's the normal timeline.
Okay.
Normal timeline, right? And so the first thing we do is we test it first in the lab, right? We test the chemicals in the lab. We look at how it works and things of that sort.
Computer studies and everything,
all those different things. And then we test the medication in animals.
Right. What are they tested on? Pigs or something?
We test in rats.
Right.
We test it in mice, monkeys. Just we test in different animals, and so some men may qualify because some men have been caught rats.
Yeah. Da-dum.
So
right.
some guys may qualify.
We'll give you the rim shot.
In animals. Okay.
We'll give you a rim shot on that one. Okay, right.
That was cool. What was that?
Da-dum. Seriously, folks, these are the jokes here, folks. Okay, right.
So we tested in animals. That's called preclinical studies.
Right.
Preclinical studies. If it's successful in animals and it's not killing the animals and it works in animals, then we move it on to human studies. Mm-hmm. Okay. In human studies, it goes through phases, right? It goes through phases in human studies. And hey, good morning, Dan, and good morning, Shadi.
We're trying to explain to everybody. Everybody's assuming a pill is coming for COVID, and we're trying to go through the typical testing protocol to create a new vaccine or drug.
So it first passes through the preclinical study, which is we study the medication in rats, in mice, in monkeys, and animals. If it's successful, we bring that medication or vaccine to human studies.
Right.
So in human studies, there's 3 phases it goes to before it gets to the FDA for approval. It needs to go through all 3 phases successfully.
What's the difference between 1 phase and 2 phase and
Okay.
3 phase?
So phase 1 is when we look for safety.
Mm.
We take healthy, completely healthy human beings and we test the medications in them to assess for safety. We make sure that you don't grow a tail or a third eye.
Right. Or get
We make
sick
sure,
or
yeah, we make sure that you don't drop dead.
right.
We look at your liver enzymes, we look at your kidney function, and we make sure that this medication or vaccine is not doing any
How
damage.
many people are typically tested in that trial, and is it just
Right.
one trial, one group, or is it done in
So,
multiple places all across the country?
so phase 1 is the smallest group of patients, right? It's not several thousand, it's not even several hundreds. Phase 1 is usually under 100 patients,
Oh, wow.
and it's just looking for safety initially. Now, keep in mind though that we're looking for safety through all of our phases,
Right.
phase 2, phase 3, but phase 1 is the main one where we're looking for anything majorly damaging.
Right. Before we
Or
give it to thousands, we want to give it to a handful, 100.
exactly, you give
Right.
it to a handful of patients to make sure it's safe before you give it to thousands, right? That's
Right.
phase 1. So you have to pass through
And how
phase.
long is a phase? 30 days or?
It depends on the study.
Mm.
It depends on the study, so it varies depending on the medication and the study. Now, you pass through phase 1, you move to phase 2. In phase 2, you're testing more patients. So phase 2 is usually, several hundred patients, right?
And these
Several
are
hundred.
just one study, one group of people, or do they have to replicate this with other studies?
They so the study is usually multi-site location, multiple states, and most of our studies, especially the Alzheimer's studies, they're global. We're
Mm.
doing in many countries using the same exact protocol. And
Right.
it's a global study,
So it's
especially
not just I'm a drug company, I can't just go hire 100 people or 1,000 people. I do my one study, I say it's safe, let's go.
right, exactly, right. So phase 2, what we look for in phase 2 is we continue to look for safety. We look to see if it works, and
Yeah.
we also look at dosing, right?
Mm.
Like what is the best dose for a vaccine? Is it, do we shoot you up with 1 cc, 5 cc, 10 ccs, right? What is the best dose,
When it
right?
comes to coronavirus, I want you to load me up. I want a jug full of coronavirus
You want
juice
a
here.
jug of Corona? Got it.
That's
Okay,
right.
right. And so phase 2 is different dosing, and we continue to look for safety, and we look to see if it works. Now, if it passes phase 2, oftentimes we look to see what is the best dose that worked in phase 2, right? Which is the dose that was more effective. And if it passes phase 2 and it continues to be safe and it continues to be effective, then we take it to phase 3.
Mm.
Phase 3 is tons and tons of people, sometimes thousands, right, of folks. The vaccine for coronavirus that's going into phase 3 this month, right? The study is enrolling 30,000 patients
Wow. All across the country, all across the
all
globe?
across the country,
Okay.
right? 30,000 patients. Okay, so that's how large phase 3 is.
Any trial going on here? Can I sign up in Orange County if I want to participate in it? Is anybody doing that trial here?
They are signing up sites now and different locations now and things of that sort. I'll let you know as soon as I hear.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, because
but
maybe some people will say, hey, I'm willing to try. I'll be one of the 30,000. Give me that juice here.
I'm curious, you guys on Facebook, how many guys would actually be interested in participating, yes or no, in a vaccination COVID trial, or would you prefer to wait until it comes out?
I think I'd do a trial. I think I'm so scared of it. I'd do a trial. I might.
Let me see. I can look at the people on here. I can tell you what their answer is. Let me see. Sonia may say yes. Melinda will probably say no. Dan will be a little iffy. I don't know if the mayor is. See, I knew it, Melinda. I knew Melinda's going to say no. maybe we can shoot up Mayor Steve Jones of
Garden Grove.
Garden Grove here and see if he's going to be vaccinated.
He's a leader. He's got to be out in the first. Roll up
Got to
his
be in the
arm.
first
Take it.
mayor. Vivian said yes. Really, Vivian, you're pretty brave. So this study, guys, is enrolling 30,000 patients. Right?
So I think that'd be fast. I really do. If you could find out if there's one locally, I think there are people in Orange County that would step up and volunteer, and I might be one of them just to see what this would do. Now, at phase 3, are we looking at the first one? We're scared. Is this even safe? Second one, we're given a bigger group, and we're trying to see if it works.
If it works and safe.
And safe. And then the third one,
dosing, and sometimes different dosing.
and sometimes different dose. And the third one is what now? Just confirmation this really does work?
Yes. The third one is confirmation of what's successful in phase 2 and 1.
Right.
So you want to confirm it in 30,000 patients, right?
All right. Now let's say that it's confirmed.
So
it looks good.
and let me tell you what you're looking for, though, in this vaccination study for COVID, right? What we're looking for, and Gianni says no. Christine Mass says, I'll wait for it to come out. Not sure, but I can be convinced.
Okay.
Christine says, you can probably convince me, Dr. Trinh. Well, Christine, I got to convince myself first. So anyway, right? Good morning, Christine Pham is here. And so phase 3, 30,000 patients. But here's what you should know. It's double blind, which means half of the group gets placebo and the other half gets the real vaccination.
Right. And you don't know, they know, but you don't know whether you got the fake one or the real one, whether you got...
Right. And double blind means the patient doesn't know and the doctor doesn't know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nobody knows. It gives it a bias-free, right? So you can't be biased.
You can't say, yeah, I think I'm feeling better. Yeah, you gave me, and I think I'm doing better. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's a double-blind clinical trial. 15,000 patients with coronavirus vaccination, 15,000 patients with placebo. Nobody knows who has what. And this is what we're measuring. Oh, by the way, there's a boost. It's actually 2 shots. You get an initial shot and you get like a little booster shot.
Okay.
With that. And what we are measuring is that we are measuring antibodies, neutralizing antibodies. The antibodies that's going to see the virus and then knocks it off, right? That's what we're measuring. We're measuring how your immune system responds by building up these antibodies to coronavirus.
Why can't we just take a bunch of antibodies that have already been built up in somebody who has a disease and squirt them into me?
Because we're going to need a bunch of humans for that. And we don't know how long those antibodies will last, right? We need to build up a level of antibodies really high that is at least equivalent to somebody who's been cured from coronavirus or recovered, or a level of antibodies that's even higher than that.
Even higher.
And then we need to see how long do these antibodies last in your system?
Yeah.
Is it going to last you a year, or is it going to last you a month and then crash?
And then you get sick again.
Right? You know what was scary is that a few days ago, a study was published that states that if you have mild cases of COVID, right? If you were infected and your symptoms were mild and you recovered, your antibodies that you have made from a mild case of COVID only lasts about 3 months.
Oh.
And then it goes away.
So you could get it twice, because they have had some anecdotal evidence where people are contracting this again after being recovered.
So that was a little concerning to me. But I think the other thing we should note is that antibodies isn't the only thing that helps with the immune system to fight coronavirus, because we have other types of memory other than antibody memory. We have T cell memories. We have B cells with create antibodies. We have T cell memories. So there are other ways for immunity, guys, than just antibodies. You should know that as well. But from an antibody perspective, right? When we do this coronavirus phase 3 study that's available this month, we're measuring the antibody levels, how high it goes,
Hmm.
right? Is that level going to go up to at least the same as somebody who's had coronavirus and
Hmm.
built antibodies? Is it a level that's going to exceed that, right?
You
Which is even
even
better,
better, right? Then
right?
and how long it
And
lasts, right?
and how long it lasts. How long is this antibody that's being built from your vaccination last? We know that if you get mumps, measles, and all that, I can check a titer today from a vaccination or infection you've had years ago because those antibodies are still there,
Yeah, right.
right? Those are vaccinations that are great, that will last you forever. But the reason you get a tetanus shot every 10 years is because your immunity only lasts 10 years from a
Oh,
tetanus
I see. Okay.
vaccination.
So let's address Christine's question and so many others. Will it be safe if we're rushing it? If we're racing through these things, if we're cutting some corners, if we're trying to get this out quickly for because it's so widespread or because of political reasons or whatever reasons you want to come up with here,
Right, right.
money reasons, we're going to make tons of money selling this. Is it better to wait after a while, or is it just, as Dr. Fauci said the other day, hey, even if it's only 50% successful, that's better than nothing?
Yes, so
What do you say? What say
I
you?
I would say as far as safety, uh, this is why we're doing these clinical trials. This is why we're enrolling 30,000 patients. We're going to check for safety, right? We're going to check for safety. We're going to look at side effects and we're going to document the side effects.
Because that was what has been the very controversial hydroxychloride that the president anecdotally touted and has stuck to his guns about, and so many have come out. And there was somebody on some group of doctors on Facebook that said, hey, this is really good, and then it was taken down by Facebook, and that caused a big uproar.
Yeah.
But the Lancet and several other places, several of which were retracted later. I think the Lancet study was retracted later.
Yes.
But they also indicate that this drug, which has been around for years for treating malaria, can
Right.
cause heart problems.
Yes, yes. Folks don't realize that when you're taking a drug like Plaquenil, if
Hmm.
you are taking other medications, there are potential medication to medication side effects.
Yes. Boy,
Nobody
that's
thinks
so
about that,
big.
do they?
No, because, and I got to just stop you again for a second.
Yeah.
My late mother, who had Parkinson's at the end of her life and had dementia, which we didn't realize until later is a side effect of Parkinson's,
Right.
she was on a cocktail of drugs because every specialist gave her a drug. And I kept asking him, have you ever tested your drug with the 10 others she's already taken? He's like, no, nobody runs those tests.
Nobody does it. Yes, yes, yes. So again, the very exciting these phase 3 uh, COVID vaccination clinical trials are coming out.
How many vaccines are they looking? I've heard up to 20 or something. Am I
There's
hallucinating?
there's over 100 you know different variations of vaccines being looked at and things of that sort. Of course, only a few will make it to phase 3.
Right.
Hey, good morning. Lisa's here. Lisa, our cook from
Oh, yeah.
she's online and she says liver side effects as well. Good morning, Lisa.
Liver side effect. Okay, there you go. Oh, what, hydroxychloride has?
Plaquenil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Plaquenil has potential liver side effects. It has potential medication to medication interaction. It has potential vision problems, side effects, where people who are on chronic Plaquenil use, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, we send them to the ophthalmologist on a regular basis to
Wow.
make sure they don't have eye side effects.
All right, so we've got up to 100 drugs racing around, and through saying a handful of them are going to make it to phase 3 and out of there. Will we get multiple ones that get approved, do you think? Will we have lots of choices? And some will be better than others, but they're all going to have some efficacy to
Yeah,
them here.
we're going to be comparing. We're going to be comparing vaccination versus vaccination. I know the government. Did the government already set aside money to buy like 100 million doses or something like
I
that?
think so. Well, and the other problem is, and that's what and we got the last 10 minutes. All right, so now, hooray. It's been announced. The magic pill is here, folks. The drug is or the shot or whatever it is. It's coming. In fact, we got lots of versions of it. Take your choice. Do you want this one or this one or this one? And we're going to have lots of opportunities. How in the world do they vaccinate 300 million people here in this country? Do we have enough needles? Do we have enough vials, little glass vials? Do we have enough doctors? Do we just have giant lines of vaccination clinics? How in the world are we going to do this?
Yeah, my guess is that it's going to be like the flu shot, where less than half of America gets it, even if it's available.
Well,
Because
forget aside that a third of America has already said in the recent Pew studies and others, I'm not taking it under circumstance, either because, like some of your guests or some of your participants said today, I don't trust it, I'm not sure, I'll wait and see. Many, though, we live in an anti-vaccination world where many people are just afraid of all vaccines. You're going to put mercury in my blood, and it's going to lead to ADHD or whatever, attention deficit. And
right. Dan is asking, how many strains of COVID-19 are there? There are a number of strains, Dan, of COVID-19. I don't know the exact number, but
and
we
doesn't
have
it adapt?
identified
It's like the flu. So next year there'd be
like
another
the
version
flu.
of COVID and another version, and
So we identified a few strains already. Some are more potent or dangerous than others. So yes, but
and
again, guys, um,
but how do you think, again, how are we going to vaccinate? 300 million people are going to be screaming for this thing here. They're going to
I don't
buy.
think I don't think 300 million people will.
Really?
My guess is less than half will, because the other half will be really scared of anything being put into their bodies.
In a certain number of 5%. How many people have actually contracted? Like 5% of the country or something? 10%
Yeah.
something?
And then we have a group of folks who don't believe it's going to be anything dangerous, so they're not going to even worry about
Yeah,
vaccinations.
right.
So, yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
How many
But
do we have to get to achieve herd immunity, where the whole herd, the human herd, this thing starts dying off because it can't find enough, it can't jump to a new host because there's too many that either have the antibodies because they've been sick or have
we,
this vaccination that
you need
keeps them.
at least over 70%
Wow.
to get herd immunity, I believe, with that. And so herd immunity also means that the antibodies that makes you immune is going to last a long time in your body.
Right.
So herd immunity means that this vaccination is going to need to last a while. So we don't know if this is going to be a yearly vaccination or something that's longer than once a year. So this is why we do clinical trials, to figure all this stuff out. Gianni says, can you take multiple forms of a COVID vaccine?
There you go. I want to take all three of them. They got 12 of them. Give me one of each.
Everything. Give me every vaccine that exists.
Every vaccine you got.
That's a great question, Gianni. So I don't have we don't know yet. We don't know yet because that's a great question that needs an answer. We are too early in the game to really figure out that answer.
When we talk about other diseases like mumps, measles, and rubella, the MMR shot that every child is supposed to take in school, and some won't, and then they won't let them come into school, is that just one vaccine made by one company, or is that 12 different variations and the doctor picks which one he's going to give you?
I believe it's one made by one. I
Okay.
believe so. I don't think you get a whole bunch of variations with that.
But COVID may come up with 12 different variations, and then your doctor's going to decide, or your clinic you go to is going to say, today we're giving you the one from Moderna or whatever here. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be some national recommendations, right? It probably
From
won't be
who?
physicians.
From the CDC or?
Yeah, from who you trust, right?
Yeah, who do you trust? From which social media you're on here? Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's like, who do you trust? But there'll be some national guidance. Dr. Fauci will probably be involved with that, and Dr. Bercy and all those guys at CDC and all those guys. There'll be some national recommendations that will come out. I'm sure there won't be 12 vaccinations. You get your choice.
Yeah.
but there'll be some definite recommendations.
So, in your opinion, even in fast tracking this thing, it's not going to take 10 years. We know that. They were saying it could take a year, which would put it out at next spring or something after this second or third wave might come, certainly after flu season. But there is a lot of word, and it's being stoked by politicians who think, no, 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 it's coming. I'm going to wait. Ta-da! I got it right here. Vote for me. Is that at all possible? Everybody seems to be downplaying it, but every week I read about it's racing through. Could we complete phase 3 in a month or two, and then, and I guess here's the other longer term question.
Right.
Let's say we find it, we've got it. How quick does it take from the moment the FDA that it's clear, that it's shown to clear phase 3, and the FDA signs off on it, and somebody starts making it, and it's manufactured and available? That seems like there's a supply chain issue of a couple months there.
That is a process. Because you can get it approved, but if you don't have the supply chain and the infrastructure to deliver it to all Americans, right? That is a process in itself. But the good news is that they're working on all that now in anticipation of some type of effective, study in a phase 3. So
would it ever be the military? There was some speculation. I think the president, maybe I'm hallucinating again, but I thought the president was speculating he might just disperse military units all over the country, and they'd line up and give you the shot here.
What, you get one shot or the other shot?
Yeah, I don't know which
if
shot.
If you're not getting a shot, you may be shot by the military.
Yeah, right, exactly, right.
Right. I shouldn't be starting conspiracy theories.
Another rim shot for that one. Okay.
Yeah, that's another lecture for another time.
Another rim shot. Okay. You get shot, or if you don't take the shot. No, I mean, is that at all possible? I mean, we're going to have mass. Maybe that sounds ridiculous, but are we going to have mass clinics just open public? At Walmart, and they'll have parking lots.
Yeah, it'll probably be delivered to the major retailers. It will probably be delivered to your doctor's office, and major health organizations.
So when will we know we're on? Everything in the news is hopeful. We're hopeful. We've given up on trying to stop this thing. We're now betting everything that we can kill it, and that we can vaccinate everybody. Are we going to be disappointed, or do you think it really is? You're trying to see the clinical stuff. Does it look promising? Does it look good? Or are we building ourselves up for false hope?
I'm usually the optimist, and being in the world of clinical trials, they're doing it right. These are double-blinded clinical trials. These are clinical trials being done in conducting and enrolling 30,000 patients, right? So if it's approved, you're not the first guinea pig.
Good.
Because it's been tried on thousands and thousands of patients already to get to approval, right? So I'm more of an optimist when it comes to that.
So everybody, last question, pony up. Everybody, tell us, when do you think? Because today, everybody's opinion is equally weighted. Dr. Trinh, who spent a lifetime in research, I know as much as he does. My opinion's as valuable as his. What do you all think? When do you think a vaccine will be available? October, before the election, after the next flu season, next spring? Give me a thing. When's it coming? Everybody sign up and tell us. When do you think? When do you expect there to be a COVID vaccine? What's your hope? What do you think? Because we're all holding on. Flu season's coming again in a couple months here, and it's going to overwhelm us with both. Now you got the flu and you got COVID running rampant through society here.
What a mess.
What a mess. So maybe I'm overstating this, but I think a lot of people are pinning their hopes that this thing's going to come out quickly and it's going to kill this thing, because we've got no other way to stop it or slow it down apparently here. So when does everybody think?
Dan Daly says December. Gianni Trung says end of 2021. So
end of 2020 year. Wow. Wow. On that spectrum there. All right. Well, therein lies the problem.
Vivian says yesterday. It should have been done yesterday.
Well, I agree to that. I agree to that.
Yes, I
And do
know.
you think, I know I got to run here quickly. Oh, I heard a report that the Chinese military and certain other people, this is definitely sounds like a conspiracy theory, already have some sort of vaccine and they're only giving it to their select, leaders here. Or that the Russians are doing the same thing. They're all trying to, there is something out there and they're just, giving it even an early dose to their guys here to keep their leaders alive here. That sounds
I
like a
haven't heard
conspiracy.
about that. Hopefully, they're not drinking. What is it?
Bleach, yeah.
Bleach or something like that. Or maybe they're all taking Plaquenil. Who knows?
I think
haven't
they
heard
should all
anything.
be taking cannabis here and says
Yeah,
it's just cool
CBD
down.
oil, right?
CBD oil. Well, thank you, all right, for trying to make. I really understand clinical trials better. I have more hope that a pill is really coming, but we don't know how long we're going to have to hold on. Is it for a month or two, or is it for a year? It be anywhere in between. And so stay tuned. Tune in each and every week as we continue to tackle the latest and greatest information about tests and blood tests. And at least there's a good news. There is a blood test hopefully coming for Alzheimer's here. Hopefully there'll be
Yes.
something for COVID too. Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Good to see you guys. Till next week.
Well, you've been listening to another great example of why you should tune in each and every week to Health Talks with Dr. Trinh, where we can clear the air, create less confusion, and clarify what's the state of our health these days as we talk about it openly, honestly, our fears, our hopes, our desires, our dreams, our questions and confusion, all cleared up on Orange County's only community radio station, octalkradio.net.